Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for coming. Apologies for starting late, but as I've already indicated, MEC started both families with the Premier. Let's give an opportunity to the MEC to lead us. The HOD will be joining us. MEC?
Thank you so much, Steve. Let me echo your sentiments by apologizing that we held you here for quite some time. We're meeting with families, and unfortunately, you can't force them to conclude their discussions if there are issues that they want to bring to our attention. We have convened this briefing just to give an update and also to ensure that we provide information that may clarify some of the issues that have been brought to our attention directly or indirectly. The start of 2020 was indeed a difficult start, as the Gauteng province has been marred by a series of traumatic tragedies and incidents that have sought to destabilize the system. These matters have required us to immediately provide the relevant attention and action in order for us to address them without delay. We are equally determined to ensure that going forward, the impact of these unfortunate incidents are minimized and hopefully eradicated. Today marks a full week since we found the body of Enock Mpianzi. This morning, on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government and the people of Gauteng, we were led by our Premier, David Makhura, in visiting both families, that is the Sebuku family and the Mpianzi family, to extend our sincerest condolences, but most importantly, to give them an update on our investigations and the actions that we have already taken as government on the basis of the information that has been brought to our attention. Just to give a little history, you will recall that it was on the 15th of January 2020 where a group of grade 8 learners from Parktown boys arrived at Nyati bush and river break in the Northwest province for what was termed an orientation camp. Parktown Boys High has previously indicated that the purpose of the camp was aimed at introducing new Parktonians to each other and creating an environment which focuses on teamwork and the achieving of common goals through various activities offered at the camp. We were informed that around 15 hours soon after the learners have arrived at Nyati bush and river break, the group of grade 8 boys took part in a water activity as a team building exercise. It would appear that during the water activity, something went horribly wrong, resulting in Enock Mpianzi being swept down the river. Enock's body was later found on Friday, the 17th January 2020, further down the river from where the water activity had taken place. The death of Enock is a great tragedy. The provincial government and the department extends once more its deepest condolences to the parents, the siblings, and other family members of Enock and the broader school community. We cannot begin to imagine the pain and the suffering that this tragedy has caused the family, but we are committed to finding out what happened and to hold those who are responsible for this tragedy accountable. Numerous media reports have covered the tragedy, and correctly so, tough questions have been raised about whether Parktown Boys High and the campsite exercised a reasonable duty of care in ensuring the health and safety of the group of grade 8 boys. What has also emerged from the media reports is the inconsistencies of facts and that there may have been serious negligence on the part of the school and the camp. Since learning about the incident, we've done everything in our power to get to the bottom of this tragedy, and we want to give an update to society on the acts and the actions that we have taken as the department. It is common knowledge now that I went to the lodge on Friday, 17th January, in the early hours of the morning, to be part of the rescue teams and also to search for Enock. And when we arrived there, we then requested the lodge and the teacher population that was there and all those that were working with our learners to take the MEC through the process of the water activity undertaken by the grade 8 group. While on site as well on that day, we met with Enock's parents at the campsite and subsequently visited them at their family home when they returned back home. Enock's family and the grade 8 boys have been provided with counseling and will continue to provide the family, the boys, and the school community with counseling for a reasonable period of time. When on site again, I can confirm that we met with the headmaster, Mr. Malcolm Williams, because he was also at the camp, and we requested that he also take us through the events that led to the death of Enock and all the relevant information that we needed so that we can understand what went wrong. Due to the serious inconsistency of the alleged facts that have been presented to us and that have been reported in the media, and the fact that the answers are needed, the department appointed an independent forensic law firm, Harris Nupen Mulibatsi, to investigate this matter. We are informed that the investigation team has already inspected a number of documents, and they are currently in the process of interviewing all relevant people that have information about the matter. The investigation has been conducted with urgency. However, due to the traumatic nature of this incident, no undue pressure will be placed on any of the witnesses. The law firm that has been tasked to investigate were given the following terms of reference. And I want to outline them because it is on the basis of these terms of reference that the report, that the preliminary information that we want to share with you is informed by these terms of reference and also the information that we have mandated the law firm to check and verify. So these are the terms of reference. Whether there are merits to the allegations and all the circumstances surrounding them. 2, whether the conduct of any educator or educators, school management team, and the principal were in good faith. Whether the school followed a correct process in embarking on the camp. Whether the camp was authorized, and if it was, what procedure was followed by the school or the school governing body in deciding to take the learner to the camp. What was the obligation of the camp or the lodge in relation to the safety of learners in the premises, and what guarantees did the camp have in ensuring the safety of learners? Does the school have an insurance cover to cover this type of activities? Whether did the educators and camp management realize that the learner was missing, what time and when, and what procedure was followed by the school to report the missing learner? Whether the matter was reported to the department, and whether the department is liable in any way or not, and whether there was any omission on the part of the department, and what can the department do to address the problem. Whether there is a general problem of this nature at the school, and if so, the role, if any, of the school governing body in this case. And lastly, whether counseling was provided or not, and whether it is necessary to provide it now. You can see from these terms of reference that the scope of the investigations is sufficiently wide and far-reaching to enable us to comprehend the circumstances that led to the drowning and death of the deceased learner, and that no one is immune from investigation. The school, the SGB, the school management, the district, and the department will be scrutinized by this investigation. And our approach is very simple, that when this scrutiny is finalized and when this report is finalized, we'll make the report available to the families, and with their permission, we'll ensure that this report is also publicly available. Obviously, where there is evidence of learners, their identity must be protected naturally. And those whistleblowers will also be given an opportunity whether they want their identity to be protected or not. So our primary goal and ultimate resolution remains to unearth the truth. We are motivated by the desire of helping all those who are affected by this tragedy to come to terms with this sad reality and also to find closure. But more importantly, to ensure that all incidents like this are avoided. So we can confirm the following now. That the investigation team has already interviewed the principal, the teachers that went with the learners that came forward, the parents that indicated their children are willing to give us information. And today, the entire investigation team is conducting what is called inspection in loco at the said lodge. We are quite convinced that after they've interacted with the police and other law enforcement agencies and all those people that were part of the search and all those that provided information, will be in a position to release the full report as soon as possible. We can now confirm the following out of the preliminary report that was presented to us that necessitate us to take the relevant action. 1, we can now confirm that the school has made an application to the district to approve the trip. However, by the time the school embarked on this trip, the district and head office had not approved the trip, thus making this trip to be an unauthorized activity. Accountability is a value that is paramount to our government in the service of our people and in ensuring that there are consequences for this kind of glaring omissions. We have inquired the roles of all persons who are in line of authority and have responsibility to care for and support our learners in schools. In this regard, we have concluded that the principal of the school is the delegated authority with the responsibility for the safety of our learners in schools. And thus, we have taken a decision to immediately suspend the principal of Parktown Boys and to serve him with a suspension letter in order for the investigation to proceed without hindrance. We've also instructed the legal firm to move with speed with the necessary disciplinary processes so that this matter can be resolved as quickly as possible. We have also taken a decision that there are district officials that can't escape accountability. Yes, the laws are clear that for you to embark on a trip, you need to apply for permission 3 months in advance before you can embark on a trip. The school indeed made an application on the 19th of November 2019, which fell outside the required time limits for an application. Regardless of that, we believe the district officials that handles this kind of communique should have either notified the school or they should have indicated to head office whether they should give permission for this trip to go ahead. It is in this regard that we have directed that all the officials at the district who handled the file of application for the trip be served with letters of immediate suspension as investigations are carried out. The leadership of the school is represented here by the school governing body. We believe that the school governing body will not escape our scrutiny, but will be guided by parents of the school later this evening on the kind of action we should take or not take. We have convened an agent parents meeting so that we can table this report to those parents, and on the basis of being a body that was elected by parents, parents must guide what kind of action we should take or not take. You will see from all these reports that it's very important that we finalize these reports as quickly as possible so that South Africans can know where we stand with these investigations. The last component affects all the teachers that went on this trip. The HOD had to determine, of those teachers that went on this trip, how many of them were directly appointed by the SGB and how many of them were directly appointed by the department. And on this matter, we want to act, but we don't want to charge the teachers as a collective. We want to charge the teachers individually on the basis of the roles that were assigned to them and whether those assignments were appropriately or correctly executed. You will recall that in the same week we also received a report about a learner that drowned at another school called Bieker Primary School in Johannesburg. The name of the child is Keamogetsu Sibuku and was a learner in the boarding facility. And this particular learner as well drowned at the school pool, and the family was visited and we extended our sincere condolences to them. An independent law firm was also appointed, and this law firm has already interviewed the parents and has already interviewed the leadership of the school. They are going to give us their preliminary report next week, and when we receive this report, will make it public, but I can assure, as we visited this family this morning, that will also act against the leadership of the school and will leave no stone unturned to get information from those that were supervising the children. Tiamuhezu will be buried tomorrow morning here in Lens, and I will join the family and represent the Gauteng provincial government at that funeral tomorrow morning. We are urging all our investigation team to move with speed. South Africans want answers, and they want those answers now. We are also pleading with those that are providing relevant information that you have no time to change statements or to give us hearsays or gossips. We want tangible information that will allow the investigators to wrap up these investigations. I want to assure the parents and all stakeholders within the education fraternity that there are 3 areas that the Premier has already directed us to attend to immediately. 1, that all the indemnity forms need to be appropriately revised, explained, and where there is confusion, a clarity or a guiding document be formulated. The Premier is of the view that these indemnity forms are used to exonerate those that don't execute their mandate. 2, as a department, we have already taken a decision that all water-related trips should get authorization immediately from head office and no longer at the school or district level, but they must come directly to head office. This, we believe, will assist us to ensure that we protect our learners. Lastly, which is very, very important, we've issued a communique to our schools that the current camps or arrangements that have been made by the schools, that we need to revisit all of them immediately to be sure that all the relevant approvals have been made. I also want to conclude that the same school, Parktown boys, arranged for a trip to Bloemfontein in the month of January. In the interest of safety, or also in the interest of honoring Enock, we jointly took a decision to cancel this trip to Bloemfontein. We'll explain this when we meet with parents later this evening. I want to leave it there, Steve.
Thank you very much, MEC. Guys, now is an opportunity to raise questions. You know, I'll take first round and probably a second round. Just remember your number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll come back in that point.
Just to ask, you say that there's a 3-month period you have to give them 3-month notice, and I just wanted to find out in investigations, are you also going to be investigating if this was the first time that they have gone on an unauthorized trip, or they only seemingly have suspended officials at district level? Are they the only school where unauthorized trips are taking place? We have over 2,000 schools.
Marisa?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Arista. I'm here from Negligence. In 2018, Harris knew that Munibatsi was also appointed by the department to compile a report. In this report, it suggested that all camps from the school be stopped. This includes polo camps, initiation camps, sports camps. Why was there then, by the department, not done anything in 2019 when the initiation camps continued?
I just wanted to find out, MEC, you're saying the investigations team is at the camp currently and has been going to the camp. Can you tell us of the response that they've received from the camp? Is the camp cooperating? You would have seen that over the past few days, gates were locked and journalists and the Human Rights Commission was not able to enter onto the premises. Are they cooperating with your investigation and are you getting what you are requiring from them?
Thank you so much for the questions. The 3 months period, it's standard, is gazetted.
Yes.
So if something is gazetted, it means it must be adhered to. But there are areas where you can condone. For example, if other parents have not submitted their medical reports on time, we can take that into consideration. But it will be difficult for now to say, I know I signed some of them personally. It will be difficult for now to say, is the school the only one that has not submitted within 3 months and other thing. And our belief is that rules are there to be adhered to. And if there are circumstances that make the trip or the application to fall outside the 3 months, a motivation need to be given, and I think the HOD and everyone will reasonably take that into consideration. I'll give you one practical example. We have a netball team that needs to go on an international netball tournament. The school will not know the date until the international tournament give them a date. And if that date is less than 3 months, they can motivate and can endorse. So it will be very difficult to have a blanket approach that others were given permission. People will require permission, but also circumstances differ on other things. Obviously, with this kind of an incident, our team, our policy and strategy team, is working on a review of the value chain to say what is it that needs to be changed. And if you are changing it to what? And also, you need to consult various stakeholders within the education space. Kaya, our approach is that whatever information that we get, we act. We don't want to act at the end of the report. So we've given the team, the investigators, whatever information that they have, you don't have to wait for the report. For example, the information that we are sharing with you, that the documents were not authorized. You can't wait for investigation because we need to authorize that document amongst ourselves. So we can pick up that this document was not authorized. And on the basis that it was not authorized, we acted. So the mandate, including the district officials, that we want, if they've already been identified, but you give them to say, we've identified you to one legal representation or union representation, this is what you want to do, and must give them those rights. Because if you don't, you'll end up paying lots of money because procedures and processes have not been followed, and that creates problem for the department. But if we get the report today, we'll act today. We really feel that, and that's what we have said to the families, and I'm glad that all the families appreciated this briefing that we gave them, and none of the families rejected this preliminary report. All of them appreciated that. First, we are giving them this report. Secondly, it will assist in the healing process. But your second question of what it means to parents and people that are going on these trips, I want to assure them, where we are, I think we are tightening up the loose ends. That the trips that need to come immediately after this incident, we will really scrutinize them to the end. Not that we're not doing that, but we've brought a new element to check any water-related activity. If that water activity is part of the itinerary, we'll then have to attend to that aspect. What we've done, there are organizations that are in the swimming industry that have come forward to the department to say that they will assist us in formulating guidelines. Basic things like the size of the boat, and if it's this size, how many learners must be inside it, and the need of life jackets, the caliber of those life jackets, and also the nature of the water activities. Because someone might know how to swim, but he knows how to swim in a swimming pool. But swimming in a river, it's a different ball game completely. So some of us who were born in Tembisa, there's no river there and there's no swimming. So you need to check the level of competency of those people before you can even give authorization. So these are kind of rules that people are bringing that we need to attend to. In terms of the burial, KFM, power, sorry. It's a serious mistake, né? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, power. Yeah, we are now talking. We've been inundated with offers from South Africans that they want to contribute to the funeral. And institutions that are doing tombstones as well, that they want to. So we've given this information to the family. To say, as government, we are willing to assist. But there are also these partners that say that they want to assist government so that government can assist the family. So as we visited the family this morning, we made this information available. So according to their plans, the memorial service will be on Tuesday, 12 o'clock. Because Enock was a learner at the previous primary school and was going to a high school, we are trying to find a way of ensuring that the two schools gather at the same venue. But it's from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and the funeral will be over the weekend next week. And that's what the family has indicated to us. Well, everyone, because all of us want the truth. So anyone, either the South African Human Rights Commission, the legal team that represent the economic freedom fighters, or other legal firms that have already made their services available to the family, we want the same thing. So the HOD yesterday wrote to the South African Human Rights Commission to say, we are ready. Whatever information we need, we are waiting for all the investigations, and then we'll hand them over. And that's our approach as well, as a department. That when all these reports are finalized, we hand them over to families. But some takes long, I must be honest. Some takes long. Some families get new information in the process, so we must restart, or they will raise concerns that they were misled. So, but we said to the families this morning, when all these reports are finalized, we give them to the families must exercise their options. So we are not going to tell them what to do or not. They will exercise their options and will do it. And I'm proud that as a department, we've got a legal team that don't want to fight for the sake of fighting. When we take a stand when we really believe people are taking advantage of our softer stance. But we are not hard, we are not difficult, we are open-minded. And that's the approach that we have taken on many incidents that have happened within the schooling environment. Arisa, you raised the issue about the camps and the report. That's the reason why we are going to the SGBs, and we are going to the parents' meeting. Because that report flagged three important things. One was the code of conduct. Two was the alleged sexual conducts that were taking place, either on school trips or within residence of learners. And lastly, which was very, very important, was this trips themselves, whether they are initiations or they are camps and other things. And I can tell you, and which is something I've seen someone tweeting on these things. This report was personally released by me. I think the person next to you knows it. He was there. I personally released that report. So that report was not at shelf 13. Someone accused me that the report was at shelf 13. I don't know, what is shelf 13?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, they said it was at shelf 13 gathering dust. We released that report, so it was never at shelf 13. But secondly, we changed the leadership of that school on the basis of that report. So we acted on it. The boarding master at that time, we're told, must only be males. We brought a woman there. There was this accusation that boys were exchanging razors, borrowing each other. We stopped that thing. And we are told that it has been stopped. Where we are worried is on one aspect that it's raising its ugly heads again. Remember, we changed the code of conduct and allowed the learners to express their views. But we are told that learners were still told to keep quiet, which simply means we changed it on paper, but the culture continued. And it's one of the issues that were flagged that we feel that we need to act and take proper action. So the report differentiated between initiations and the camps, because some of these camps are educational. I mean, you go on camp purely because we are told the moon will change at a certain time, it's better placed, or you'll view it better from a certain angle or a certain area. You can't just say it can't. So if they were educational and they were all those things, they will be part of this. But that's one area we flagged, and that's the area we believe that the SGB must provide the relevant information that will deal with it. Khomotso, we have not received any information that our team was stopped, but what I know is that the law firm of the camp has given our legal team permission to come. Those that have covered education matters, they will tell you there is a law firm called Spies, Hunters and Spies. And when you mention Hunters and Spies, you know is legal firm that deals with what? Those that are in the education space, they will tell you. So they represent a certain organization that it has made itself a mandate to hunt for my head. So they have communicated, and they were there at around 11 o'clock. I think that's the time that they said they will arrive there. So we've not received any information that indicates that they were not welcome. Steve?
I don't think the second round we follow up, I think. Okay, I'll take new people that will come. One, just remember, 2, 3, or 4, and then let me 5, 6, 7. I'm told 8. That will be. Thanks very much. Let me see. Oh no, let's go there. Who is number 1? Yes.
MSC Sesona, News 24. You've outlined the way forward regarding camps. I just want to find out, MEC, what about private schools?
Okay.
MEC, we spoke about inconsistencies regarding initial statements after we arrived at the campsite and subsequent after that. Would you characterize those inconsistencies as a form of people trying to cover up what was going on? Number 1. And number 2, regarding the SGB,
shared one of them so many times. MEC, I was wondering if you could just clarify something. You mentioned regarding the teachers on the trip, you still had to determine which of them were employed by the SGB and which of them are employed by the department. What does that mean in terms of potential disciplinaries if any of them are found negligent? If there is an SGB employed teacher who's found negligent, would it be up to the SGB to discipline them, or does the department have a say in that?
MEC Katako Sofoto from KFM. MEC, you mentioned that now all water-related trips must get authorization from head office. I just wanted to ask you, in terms of other relatively hazardous activities, bungee jumping, hiking, or anything that might put learners in danger, will the department be reviewing sort of what activities constitute going to a higher level and not just at district level?
Yeah.
MEC, just two things. I don't know if you have seen or you are aware at Trinity House there was a camp that happened there and two girls were bitten by a snake. Can you give us a comment on that? And also, I think we also the open letter that was written yesterday by Enock specifically speaks to the culture of silence that seems to persist there. Also, the question is, MEC, you did change the management the last time we had these conversations about the school. What more can be done at Parktown Boys so that we do not find ourselves in the next 12 to 24 months here again? Because things seem to go there unabated. Whether you're changing things on paper, whether you're changing school leadership, there seems to be a greater problem that is really, really deep at the school. Thank you.
Another question which is outside of this particular issue. I'm just concerned about the intelligence in the country. We've had a number of schools that have been taught since the beginning of the year. And as the governing party, perhaps I'm asking you to weigh your ANC hat here. What does that say about the intelligence? Because it seems that as government, we seem to be, or rather, you seem to be reactionary when it comes to conducting this type of crime. And especially because they tend to have an end from the so there are very questions about the legal control with current agents.
Okay.
Is the next one? Okay, come on.
Yeah, it's also again from EWN. Recently reported that there have been at least 4 other deaths at that particular camp. And these are people going to this camp from different parts of the province. And this seems to be somewhat the camp of choice for many. Are you going to be flagging it in any way? The Human Rights Commission has been speaking about making sure its tourism certificate is revoked. Are you going to be allowing people going forward to go to this particular camp, or is it blacklisted?
Thanks, Steve. I'm the MEC for education in Gauteng. But we are controlled by an act called the South African Schools Act. And any school that utilizes that act, we have the ultimate authority. But if it's private school camps by private schools, we don't have that authority because the accounts, their own boards, their own shareholders, and other things. So it will be difficult for us to enter that space. But remember, the overall law of the country is the constitution. So even if it can be a private camp, but if they are going to be taught how to shoot black people, I mean, we will intervene, obviously, or vice versa, how to shoot white people, we'll intervene because we don't want a loss of life if that information. So we don't control that. They must give us permission that we are going on a camp, MEC must sign. Otherwise, I won't work because if you have to bring all these things for authorization, it will be an administrative nightmare. Not that I mind, but we need to manage it appropriately. Kaya, you know, with investigations and what people tell you, you sometimes also rely on experts. And I'm glad that there are lots of experts that have shown up, that they're willing to assist us with the relevant information. So it's very, very difficult for me to respond by saying the information that was given to us was a cover-up, because personally I was also emotionally traumatized on that day, you know. And there are things that I could have not paid too much attention, because at that time the mandate and the task was for us to find Enock and to assist the search team. So it will be very, very difficult. But I'm indeed aware that there's an SGB member that was part of all the processes that have been narrated. And if I'm not wrong, I suspect was also on site. I'm not 100% sure, but when introductions were made, I think there is a name that rang a bell, but that's the information that I will personally give to the investigation team. So remember, we are putting the SGB in the hands of parents of that school to determine what must happen. And we're doing that this evening. And if the parents say, we love our SGB, hands off, we'll respect that decision. If the parents say, we need additional information, we'll provide that information. If the parents say, leave it with us, we'll see what to do, we'll also, but we need to consult them, because the body that was elected. And that's the reason why we're moving with speed to go and meet with those parents this evening. We're not imposing our will. We really believe that collectively, we must find a way of salvaging the image of the school. And we can't have a school that is hawking headlines like Parktown Boys in a manner that does not advance or benefit educational outcomes. So it's something that we'll discuss with the parents later this evening. In terms of the Sunday Times, in terms of the SGB employees and the department employees, I'll leave it with the HOD, but reality is that the disciplinary cases of SGB employees are conducted by the SGB, not by the department. The department can only discipline people that they've employed. But remember, every teacher in this country must be registered with a body called South African SACE, Council of Educators. So whatever the outcomes, if the SGB dismiss that teacher will not be in a position to teach again in South Africa, whether it was for a period that they've sanctioned. So, but there's a separation of power for power, and that's the reason why the team now is checking that aspect and is going through documents to check who was employed by the department and who was employed by the SGB. Indeed, we'll have an interest in the disciplinary hearing. We'll monitor that closely. We've done that actually, even at that school. Even at that school, we've done that, where we indicated our interest. Katle, you know, I take your point on hiking, bumpy jumping. Unless I'm blind, HOD. Of all the things that have come, I've not seen this kind of activities. Maybe you are raising a new thing that we need to, maybe schools are not declaring them. So I've just taken note. I think I've never seen schools requesting.
It's more about the safety features
Yeah.
that go along with it.
Yeah. So, but I think you reflect it will really. Matlago, Trinity House, Kiaka, Aseaka. Yeah, no. Aseaka. At least for a change, I was worried that. Yeah, I've read the open letter by Rems Mabot, and it was really touching. You can see it's somebody that understands that school. The child is there, and we really appreciate also his advice of some of the things that need to change. And I assume and I expect that he will join us this evening, and he will raise those views so that we can assist in stabilizing those matters. You say, what more can we do? Because we must not lose hope. We must not lose hope. I'm of the view that it will really be, it's not advisable to shut down a school. Because the department is not in the business of shutting down schools, but we're in the business of delivering education. That the best mechanism is to remove those that are not sharing the same vision with us. Because if I have to shut down, and I've seen many people say, shut down this school. If we have to shut down this school, where are we taking those learners when we're already struggling with placement, as I'm speaking to you now? And there are other people that are saying, and I've seen it's gaining momentum. No, the reason this is happening, MEC, is because it's a boys' school. Ensure that it's a mixed gender school. There is a Parktown girls, it's Parktown boys. Why can't both of them? And that's a decision of parents, it's not my decision. But the area of emphasis where we are as a department is to attend to those that are not doing what is expected out of them, rather than attack the entire school. And that is why we welcome the parents that are picketing outside the school there. We really believe it's a voice that must be heard. And we really believe that the SGB of that school must go and meet with those parents. We must not ignore them to say these are people that are protesting out for our school and other things, and build that relationship. So that's the aspect that we will attend to and work to. Is it Neone? Power. I must not make a mistake. Yeah, because it's left, let me not even answer ANC matters. We'll answer them when we change municipalities, where we are changing them. So let's leave it there now. I don't want to respond to that. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm just saying let's not confuse the caps that we are wearing. Yeah, I'm to be quite frank, I'm worried because, and it's part of the reason why we are taking the action that we are taking against the school. I mean, it took a mere Google from me to pick up the 2010 or 20 drowning, that there was a death at that school. Even when I was at the camp, even when I was given directions of where the school is, when I put it up, this information came. So, and it's part of the reason why we are acting, to say a basic check would have confirmed that this place has a history that needs to be understood. So we don't know this. These are the same owners, and that's what the legal team said to me, that these are the same owners or they were previous owners and other things. But that check should have raised the relevant red flags, and would have been. So we are quite aware that there have been incidents like this. So, I mean, when we have an incident like this, we really believe that we need to communicate with our schools not to go to that camp until a report is released to clear them or not, so that we are aware that, because just imagine we're here and another school decides to go there. But also must go deeper. The problem, sometimes we want to characterize wrong things with other people. why there is interest of schools to this camp, even if it's a death camp. Are there financial benefits? Who benefits and how? We must ask those questions, and that's what we asked our team to go and check. Why there is this, and there is a certain pattern of schools that wants this camp. It's not a school in Shoshanguve. Is it because it's expensive? Or why it's not a camp that is preferred by average schools? There is a certain clientele. So we are probing those questions, I must be honest with you. We are probing those questions, and we really believe that we'll get answers. Steve, I think everyone is happy we can, or is satisfied. We can leave it here. I have to go to, oh, yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Let me check the last one.
Yeah, he is the last one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hi, this is Enock from the United Media. Just a couple of questions. You mentioned earlier that you had already met with the teachers and you spoke to them at the camp. I just want to clarify something. When you spoke to the teachers, did they give you a picture of where they were at the time of the drowning? And what is your response to that? And secondly, pertaining to the principal who's now being suspended, I just want to get clarity on that as well. When was he suspended and when was his nature of suspension issued? And what is the basis of this suspension? And finally, another point of clarity, I don't hear you say there's a teacher suspended. No teacher suspended, just to confirm on that. Thank you.
Let me start with the latter part. The teachers have indicated that the team is checking which one is employed by which sector, because that on its own will determine. But also, you can't charge them as a collective. You need to say, and that is in the statement, you need to say, this particular teacher was assigned to do X, and that teacher didn't do X. But you can't charge another teacher on the responsibilities of another one. So that is why there is intention to go there, and we've started that process, but we need to get additional information. So it could not be included in this preliminary report. For purpose of completeness, the suspension letter, because it was immediate, was released this morning. And it was very important that it's released purely because there's information that we have. And I don't want to dwell on what basis, because the investigation is still ongoing. I can say it is on the basis of X, only to find the investigators find another thing. And there are lots of things that have come out. So we'll indicate when the report is finalized. Yes, I spoke to those teachers. Remember, when I arrived there, the first mandate was to comfort the family. And the teachers were with the family. And they remained there. And when we went with the law enforcement agencies, the divers, the people that were assisting us to search, some of the teachers were there as well, just to show us the areas. But I've already indicated our interest at that time was to find Enock. We didn't ask the relevant question unless the family wanted to know something. But it was a difficult task. I had to brief the family. Even when the police found the body, they narrated it to me, and I had to use the teachers to support me in terms of, when we have to announce the death, the family, how they would react. So the teachers were there as well, providing the relevant support. But I didn't specifically ask them of what happened and other related matters. But I think the investigators are working on that information, and I think that's the information that will assist us. Thank you so much for your time. Maybe before you wrap up, I must indicate, and it's a part that people will feel the department is just saying it for the sake of saying, where there are bad things, we'll say there are bad things. But where there are good things as well, we must also say the good things. This school remains one of our best schools in the province, notwithstanding the challenges that they are going through. If you check their matric performance, you check the bachelor passes, you check their participation in sport. Actually, they've even won national awards on some of their sporting activities. So I would really be reluctant to just brush the name of the school with one brush as if it's that bad school that it can't excel. There are elements of excellence, but there are also elements that we need to clean, and that's the reason why we are embarking on this process. But this school, it remains one of our of the schools that are performing very, very well in the province, and I really believe that is a very important aspect to flag as well. Thanks. It's not a dysfunctional school, because if you can't explain that part, people will feel that it's a dysfunctional school. Thanks so much, Ashud.
Thanks, MC.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think we are done. Okay, the venue for the briefing, for the parents meeting is not at the school. It's at the Vets auditorium, but I'll put the address in the group. It's not at the school, it's at the auditorium.
Linda Auditorium.
Linda Auditorium at 6. It's open.